Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Welcome back. Welcome back to the final day of the Agility Summit. We've got this is the big crescendo. This is the big time. This is like we're going to bring out the lion tamers and all the more exciting things like the elephants and clown cars. It's the three-ring circus, but better. All right, today we are going to the main focus is going to be the Agility Summit Challenge. The Agility Summit Challenge. We've got teams from NPS, from the warfare centers, and I think maybe active duty as well. Where's Lieutenant Veach? There, active duty as well. So he's going to present those today. We've got some esteemed guests here on the stage, as you can see. We'll give that over to the director, Captain Van Buskirk. But before we get to that, we want to do a few thank yous. And you know, my heart and soul is with the Marine Corps. So we do want to thank the PAO school at Fort Meade. We shot up a Red Star cluster to Major Perry, and Major Perry came through for us. We got Master Gunnery Sergeant Griffin, who deployed 6 of his Marines down here to give us a hand. And I'm really old, and I got this back spasm, so there's no way I could have moved these tables and chairs. So Marines, Sergeant, why don't you bring up your Marines? I think Sergeant Pearson is back there somewhere, maybe, hopefully. Yeah, why don't you bring them up here? So this is the crew that did it. This is it right here. They put things together within a short order of time. We had a little bit of a time hack challenge this morning, getting on target, and we brought this stage over from the summit area to the global area, and the Marines did it in about, 45 minutes, Sergeant? Yeah, about 45 minutes. So we're really happy to have them here. So if you see these Marines today, thank them profusely for coming here and getting out of the barracks. They're on, again, Marines awaiting training, but this was a great opportunity for them. It's probably the most senior. I mean, look behind you right there. You ever seen a 1-star general? I've never seen a 1-star general. You ever seen a 2-star admiral? Look behind you, right there, right? So, and then there's an SES, which is a civilian side general officer admiral level. So this is a pretty big deal, right? I mean, this is great. And then have you ever seen foreign soldiers before? Like, look, Greek officers here. This is amazing. This is a great opportunity for you and a great opportunity for other Marines awaiting training in the area. So these Marines did great. Were you treated good here? I yelled a little bit, but you got fed. Very good experience, right? Professional. They did their job with extreme prejudice against the time, right? So they really executed well, and I thank you very much. And Admiral General, if there's anything we can do for PFC Garcia, we broke his glasses. He cannot see without them, so he's on like a 4-week hold for optometry. So if we can make a phone call, see, this is how this works. We're live. I'll bet you get glasses in about a week so you can see again. And I apologize for what happened, but thank you. All right, Marines, thank you. All right, where's Mike? Is Mike here? Mike Chung. Why isn't Mike Chung here? PFC Rodriguez or whomever I sent out there. There he is. You did fetch him. Excellent. So Mike is oh shoot, I beg your pardon. It's from the Portsmouth, the Naval Shipyard Portsmouth Detachment out in San Diego. He's submarine. Well, now you're in the security office, right? But he's on temp loan to us from the commander out there at the Naval Portsmouth Naval Shipyard's San Diego Detachment. That's some sort of mouthful, right? Probably need to work on that, or I just need to remember better. He's on temp loan. They offered him out to us. He has a penchant for AV. He has a penchant for work. All the fine tuning of running the cables, putting things like this projector that we got from PEO MLB, hanging this up, making the rig for it, making it safe so it could hang. He's responsible for all of that. That screen up there, hanging it in such a way, responsible for that. So Mike has been here for the last, 2 weeks now with me. and our esteemed director putting this together. So Mike, we want to thank you and your command for allowing you to be here for 2 weeks for us. So round of applause for Mike. Thanks, Mike. All right, last but not least, and I will get a ration when I'm going to do this, but this is not planned. So Ling Jin. Okay, let's bring up Ling then, please. Ling. All right, so I'm going to be in big trouble. So we've got a contractor with us, and then Ling is also with the Naval Shipyard Portsmouth San Diego Detachment. She's been with Naval X for almost, I think this is almost like 1.5 years as a rotational. She actually she's contacted just about everybody to put this together, except for Lieutenant Beach's portion on the challenge. So she's put everything together from the badges, working with the contractor support, Jen, and has made this event what it is today. So let's give them a round of applause for doing this. You want to say? I'll be in trouble later. She doesn't like to be in the limelight, but that's okay. I live in Charleston. She lives in San Diego. It's perfectly fine. All right, without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to the director of Naval X, Captain Van Buskirk. Call sign Nut. Take it away, Nut. Thank you, sir.
Great. Thank you for the intros. What I do is I'm going to take the pleasure in introducing one of our guest speakers. We're incredibly excited to have her with us. It's the Undersecretary of the Navy. She's going to provide about a few minutes of opening remarks for all of us involved here. Ma'am, it's great to see you. The Undersecretary of the Navy, Ms. Berger, is really been with a career in government. She started off working with the state of Florida and has had an incredible career in education from Nova Southeastern University, Vanderbilt, and Harvard Kennedy School. And recently confirmed as the ASN for Installations and Environment, and also did some work with Microsoft. And I'd like to also point out, under the Mavis administration, Secretary Berger was heavily involved in the innovation space, and I know knows this well. And so it is really my honor and privilege to introduce the Undersecretary of the Navy, Secretary Berger.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Captain Van Buskirk. I am looking at you all with envy because I have gotten to visit that space as one of my first trips in the short time I've been here, and I wish that I were there. The meeting schedule doesn't allow it, but it is my loss not to be there in person. But I'm so glad to be able to spend some time with you all now. So first, I'm so grateful to everyone who's participated in this Agility Summit for the past few days. You have submitted your challenge solutions. You've been thinking all of the big thoughts that are really going to help the Navy move forward to stay innovative, flexible, adaptable, and that's the stuff that drives us, that helps us to succeed. I'm thrilled to see that there are speakers and presenters and exhibitors that have come together in person, which we haven't seen lately with COVID. And so I'm glad that you're managing to keep these contacts even when it's challenging. Even that can be an innovation in its own right of late. But you are playing a critical role in the making of the Department of the Navy stronger, keeping it innovative, competitive, and ahead. With the present challenges that we encounter today, and we live in a very dynamic environment of late, we won't be able to maintain the tactical advantage with the fleet that we have now unless we keep our thinking flexible and adaptable and continue to collaborate at summits like this. So thank you for being invested in constantly evolving requirements of delivering capability to the warfighter in, as I mentioned, this very dynamic environment that we find ourselves in. As we talk about modernizing and upgrading, we have an opportunity to get out of our bubble, especially at places like this, and especially in such a great environment like the one that you all are in. Innovation means looking towards the requirements of tomorrow instead of reacting to them as they come. For example, I think a lot about how we provide power to our platforms and fulfill mission requirements. The Navy, as you all know very well, is a major consumer of energy and fossil fuels. And with a growing climate crisis, we have to take action. How do we consider this? How do we think about what the impacts the Navy and how we improve operations, supply chain? This is just one of the many things that you all have on your minds that I have on mine. But at the forefront is always mission and readiness and making sure that the Navy is succeeding. I'm thrilled that you're thinking about these things at Naval X. I often say at the Pentagon, there's not a lot of time to think. We're always doing a lot. And so the opportunity that you all take at Naval X to really be thoughtful, to really connect, to really take that little bit of distance to look at the big picture, the future, and be contemplative about that is such an important function. And you don't do it alone, you're doing it in partnership. So as you enable greater collaboration with some of our more non-traditional partners and speed it up a bit too, there's a world of opportunities and possibilities that make the Navy more agile, more diverse, more adaptable, and staying ahead. It's great to see local industry, academia, small businesses, and organizations coming together. You're building this ecosystem of excellent minds, and I think it's incredible. This is a forum for diverse and unique perspectives, especially from those who we might not hear from as often in the defense environment. Some small businesses, organizations working for the Navy for the first time. This is how we foster collaboration. This is how we attack complex problems and use really diverse thinking. I'm so impressed. I've heard a couple of examples from this summit, and the Southern Maryland Tech Bridge collaborated with Data Robot, and you're thinking about AI and how to assist in flight tests. Central Florida Tech Bridge, I was so happy to see Florida on the map here as a Floridian myself. And to connect with Navy to think about how to encourage networking and collaboration to enable warfighter advantage. This is the type of thing that we need to be doing regularly, putting creators, helpers, doers, experts together to support this innovation mindset and this culture of critical thinking. And again, just making sure that Navy is having the opportunity to have the benefit of all of this diverse thinking as we so quickly charge into the future. This is just such a unique time and opportunity and space, and I'm so glad that you're taking the richest advantage of it. It's like-minded visionaries like you that are taking the best looks at some of the challenges and opportunities that the Navy faces. You're catalyzing innovation. You're making sure that the future warfighter is equipped and capable for all of the different mission sets, some anticipated, some that will be coming in ways that we can't imagine at this point, but you all are well on your way. We are just lucky to have you all together to be thinking in this way, to be developing, to find ways to implement these good ideas, turning all of the research and benefit of the diverse perspectives that are out there into something that Navy can benefit from, staying flexible, adaptable, innovative, and headed towards the future. So thank you all for the time to spend with you, even remotely. I am so glad to have gotten to do it, and wish you well on the rest of the day at the summit as you close out.
Secretary Berger, thank you so much for your kind words, and we're excited to keep going, and I can't wait to see you again. Thank you so much. Okay, next up, what we're going to do is I'm going to allow our panelists to give just a quick introduction of themselves to everyone here. And it is just wonderful to have this group of industry, academia, small businesses, and government. And this is going to be really powerful today. So I'll just go. Each of our panelists has a mic just to introduce themselves and who they are, and then I will hand it over to Lieutenant Veach. We'll start off with you, Dr. Carlin.
Rich Carlin here. So with Office of Naval Research, the department head for Naval Accelerator. I think maybe most people know who I am. So we do a lot of these various activities, especially aspects of how we do sort of an outreach model for the Navy's S&T community, how we bring innovative ideas into that, such as things I talked about earlier this week on business accelerators.
Hey, good morning. I'm Rear Admiral Bill Byrne. I'm the deputy at OpNav N7. N7 is the director of Warfighting integration. And the sole purpose of N7's existence is to gain and regain warfighting advantage. We're building warfighting advantage. But I'll tell you, on the personal level, I will reiterate what Madam Secretary just said. Yes, we're building warfighting advantage, but what we're really building here is the ecosystem of excellent minds, is what she called it. And as an old goat, I will tell you that it warms my heart and it makes my heart smile to see the enthusiasm, the energy with which you guys are approaching this. And it reconfirms that we are in good hands. Thanks.
Thanks, sir. Hey, Ben Watson. So I run the Marine Corps' Warfighting Lab. So we fall underneath our Deputy Commandant for Combat Development and Integration. So that's Lieutenant General Eric Smith. And we're sort of unique amongst the services in that we package within the lab concept development, wargaming, experimentation, and science and technology all into one relatively small organization, but puts us kind of squarely in the innovation space. And then my other hat is working for Rear Admiral Selby as the Vice Chief of Naval Research. So ensuring good connections between the Navy and the Marine Corps when it comes to future technologies and innovation. Really happy to be here. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Craig Sawyer again. I think I saw a lot of you earlier this week. I work right now for N9I. So OpNav N9 is the Director of Integrated Warfare. So my time there for the last year and a half, it's kind of been the passion. Vice Admiral Kilby, now Vice Admiral Khan. Again, how do we really harness emerging technologies? How do we actually work as a group together to actually deliver those effects and get them to the warfighters' hands in a time that matters? But again, while working in OpNav, the answer is not, it's not OpNav, it's not one location. So fundamentally, environments like this time and place right now is a perfect confluence of a lot of opportunity, a lot of people doing the right things. So I'm really interested to see how that we can actually capitalize on everybody's ideas and actually bring the right ones to bear and move those ones fast.
Awesome. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Okay, what I'd like to do now is I'll bring up Lieutenant Veach, and he will MC for getting the pitches.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, everyone can hear me now. Cool. Thank you for that introduction, and distinguished panel, thank you for giving your time. It's very valuable, we know, and but we are very excited with the challengers here on delivering you some great solutions to unmanned campaign future naval capability problems. All right. Okay, earlier this year, Secretary of the Navy, Chief of Naval Operations, Commandant Marine Corps, both endorsed and signed the unmanned campaign framework. In this framework on page 22, we can see that there are 5 pillars of design. We saw an opportunity with the second year of this Agility Summit Challenge to address one of them, and that is force integration. Force integration describes operator training, operator experience, common data standards, and logistics support, which we addressed with 4 challenge problem sets. And that's what we posted publicly on an application called IdeaScale for any active duty, reserve duty service members, civilian service members, and as well any midshipmen were able to come on and join the problem, be a normal member of this and comment and add their add to the solutions, or if they wanted to be a part of the challenge and put their ticket in as a challenger to submit ideas. And that's what our guests here have done for you. So we had 200 active users for a 2-month sprint. 25 solutions came forward, and they went through a 6-stage workflow. During that workflow, the refined stage, we brought in 15 subject matter experts on these topics from all over the DON, stakeholders and such, and they were able to comment and question and help refine some of these ideas to get ready for the assessment. The assessment stage was the same subject matter experts and stakeholders providing an input on a scale of 1 to 5 on 9 subjects that you see and have on your grade card right now, the same exact one. And the top scoring 6 teams are with us here today. They're going to present to you short pitches of 4 minutes with 8 minutes from the panel to provide comments and feedback and questions. And we're going to do it rodeo style and just go one by one. And you'll grade each ticket there. Their titles are on the grade cards for you. And 1 to 5, I will include blanks as zeros. So if you're really that disappointed in one of those features, and then over lunch, I'll go ahead and grade those. The winner of this competition will not only get this beautiful trophy that Building Momentum built for this challenge, but also I'll have the panel sign the challenge flag here, and so they'll be able to remember who was their panelists and kind of go forth, and that'll be kind of a ticket with you as well. And then also with the help and sponsorship from Code 36, with Dr. Carlin and Whitney, we'll have initial funding to work towards a prototype and pilot upon their platform or idea. So without further ado, there's no questions from the panel as we get started. You do have blue packets there. That shows the complete campaign problem sets. Then if you could turn to the 3rd page, it has the team names in order. And then each page after that is the team's names, bluffs, and the presenters' names. All right, without further ado, Lieutenant Commander Knapp and his team from Naval Special Warfare Group 8.
Morning, gentlemen. My name is Chris. With me today is Mike and Chase, both UAS SMEs from Naval Special Warfare Group 8. Not able to be with us today is Aurelio, who is also from Naval Postgraduate School. Between the 4 of us, we are all qualified on multiple unmanned systems with thousands of hours of operational flying. In addition to that, there's a total of nearly 50 years of unmanned experience. We addressed the common use and experience question for this challenge. Bottom line up front, our ask is to require that all new unmanned acquisitions require an application programming interface, an API with government purpose rights. In order to get after this, we recommend standing up a requirement task force to define what the best policy method is. Is it through an instruction? Is it through updating an instruction? Is it through a guidebook? And then to draft that and to test that theory and to make sure that it will all work, run a prize challenge to support a validated Navy Marine Corps requirement that has been identified with the program office that can use this prize talent challenge. Once that's completed, pitch it to PEO, UNW, and USC, who own the vast majority of the unmanned systems, in order to standardize that across the board. Timeframe we expect is 6 months to 1 year. While the total cost up there is $225,000 to $300,000, the minimum viable product in this would be just drafting the requirement at $25,000 to $50,000. To understand why we need this and where we are is understanding what an API is. So the current method of doing things is platform-centric, where we buy something and then all of the additional items that we want is hardwired into that source code. This legacy approach has created a multitude of problems. So what we're stating is you introduce an API which will allow a capability-centric approach. This breaks that line and allows additional payloads, autonomy, control station, alternative navigation, any of those items to be designed and now integrate with that proprietary source code. Additionally, that integration can occur through either a DoD lab, it can occur through a third party, it can occur through Naval Postgraduate School, just a shameless plug for us. The best non-technical way to think about this is that what you have up here is a restaurant. That autopilot is the kitchen, and API is a menu. Everywhere you go, there's going to be a different menu, but you want to order a burger, you can order that burger the same way at every restaurant. And that's what it allows for. We got here due to a lack of commonality between all of our systems. There are no defined data standards. While PMS 406 and 281 and PMA 281 are both working towards that, we have not achieved it yet. This has created a closed architecture environment with limited data rights, operating in a fiscally constrained environment that is causing us to lose pace with our competition. Trying to come up with a solution, we look to identify how we can align with the unmanned strategic objectives. This solution aligns with 80% of those objectives. We have already defined what the objective is through the force, and that's what PMS and PMA are working towards. What we're saying is define the threshold, and that threshold is an API with government purpose rights. This will enable adoption and integration with a capability-centric focus, ability to give each service or the unit to customize that truck for what they need. The integration and adoption can occur independent of the vendor through any software engineer, which in turn lengthens the life cycle and reduces the cost of the items that we purchase. And it ultimately sets a barrier for entry to do business with the government. I thank you for your time and are welcome to questions.
Great job, and I read it this morning, had to go look up API, so actually I kind of understood it. I like that example. So I had one question on this though, and I something that kind of caught my eye too. A barrier to entry work with the government. So one of the big pieces we're actually trying to do is reduce those barriers. So maybe can you maybe describe that a little better? I have a different way of putting it, but
I fully agree. Words matter, and we don't want to put up the barriers for entry. But in the same token, in the fiscally constrained environment that we're in, buying those proprietary items that require us to go back to the same vendor with their timelines and their requirements is inhibiting our forward progress. Additionally, the cost savings that will come, there was likely to be some hurdles in the front, but it benefits us in the back end. And a perfect example of this is the newest unmanned system that the military has purchased, or the Navy has purchased, the MQ-25 Stingray. It was written with a requirement to meet the PMA 281 standard. However, because that standard has yet to be identified, they were waived from that requirement entirely. So that means during the entire life cycle, our only option is to go back to that vendor and have them do any kind of integration with something that we want. And they can set the price point, they can set everything that they need. No hits on that vendor by any means. The difference being at this, we front load it, say, here's the API, and then whatever we need in the back end allows us. It also opens up the opportunity for additional competition, because now the payload, the autonomy, the alternate navigation, those are all companies that are specialized in those items that can now be integrated onto whatever platform we have.
So real fast to add to that is, I think I caught on the same thing of, I don't think the right words or it's not incorrect. There's nothing wrong, but I think a lot of the ways we've seen this, and we've had a few engagements with industry and small business, it is actually by setting these standards in some of these interfaces that it's lowering the barrier in some ways. So there are smaller companies that might not be a platform integrator, that might not be an airframe or a shipbuilder, that can actually compete their products based upon just the data or just the algorithms, just the information. So I think we're all in agreement that this is something that's valuable. We see the value in this. What I really like what you guys are doing is trying to operationalize this, put a time-bound problem on it. This is what a team could do, and see how far we could go in a time frame, and making sure that it's something that we could make a positive step. But I think right to the same thing as Rich's point. In many ways, this is actually lowering a barrier to entry by doing this. But we do have to do this with industry, and we have to do this. The small industry, like I said, actually was asking for these types of things faster. We would love to be able to break it up. We would love to be able to compete in the areas that we can just go fast and give you guys the greatest value. But as long as you guys continue to bundle it all into a big package, it's not benefiting anybody right now. So I appreciate it. That was more of my comment, but I think I'm very supportive of the idea. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right, let's go. All right, thank you. I got a ping from Whitney to remind everyone if they feel like they're not being heard, the speaker can be the only one that can pull the mask down or take it off during when they're using the mic, and then they can put it back up. That goes for the challengers as well. All right, next up, Team Greece. From MPS, we have Greece Air Force and also Army.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you very much for having us here. I'm Captain Nikolas Vidalis, and next to me is Captain Tony Varvasoudis and George Andranopoulos. So based on our background experience on building unmanned systems, we have decided to address a problem that is related to all the military branches. And this is how do we ensure that we have enough qualified users to employ them when it is required. So for these guys to be qualified, they have to be trained. And in order for them to be trained, we need money. And the worst is that we need time. So what if we could have any kind of operator without any previous experience or any knowledge on the system that he is about to operate? So by considering today's platforms, today's unmanned systems, we can see that we have multiple operators with different skills, different qualifications, interacting with multiple interfaces over different systems. So our suggestion is building an agent, as it is called. It's a software that it will be operator qualification agnostic. So this agent will be able to receive simple commands by our operators and perform optimal missions. So the importance of the qualifications of our operators is now decreased, and we just have the human at the apex of command and having a role of critical decision making by setting the policy of this software that is called agent. So what the agent really is, it's the mind of our software, of our system, of our unmanned system, that takes simple commands that might be the outcome of a decision-making tree, and you have the operator that's interacting through a user interface, a common one, a simple one that can be used by anyone. It talks with our agent that it's built upon a reinforcement learning philosophy, a part of a machine learning philosophy, and by analyzing data of the environment, this agent now can take optimal decisions and eventually actions. So for this thing to become true, we need our agent to be trained. And how do we train our agent? We can train it in a simulated environment as an OpenAI gym that now exists, and in the real world by having it plugged in parallel with the human operators. So by doing so, our agent that's in the middle will keep building experience and qualifications by observing the operator's behavior, the operator's action. So we will reach a point that our agent will be much more qualified than any of our operators and will be able to perform optimal missions. So me and my team, within 12 months, we could build this kind of software, this agent that will be able to operate 3 different platforms of your choice, maybe an air platform, a sea, and a ground platform, and we could have any operator without previous experience or knowledge over the system to adequately operate on these systems. And later on, we could escalate on much more complex systems. So by following the strategy, build, train, combine, and scale, we could move further than the individual building by having educational institutes training our agents along with some government coordination. And on top of that, we could have the companies involved by providing us with pre-trained agents that are ready to be trained in the real world. So last but not least, this is where our solution stands on the top right corner. In terms of scalability and affordability, and compared to what we get out of having human operators trained, which is both expensive and uniquely related to our unmanned systems. Thank you very much.
So one question that I was looking for, looking through the presentation, very interested, where do you see in your initial salvo or your initial plans, how far of an API? Are we thinking about being able to provide commands so that a ship or a vessel can maneuver and station keep? Or are you thinking a broader or more detailed approach could be achieved in that time?
So the top goal is having a totally unmanned system that only has a policy set by the supervisor, but by the one having the critical decision-making role. So ultimately, the operators will not be needed at all. But that's the ultimate goal after having the agent trained so well, so that you don't need operators anymore. You just have the supervisor setting the policy by following decision trees and following a strategic decision-making procedure, and that's it. That would be the ultimate goal, just having a supervisor setting the policy.
One other side note from recent history too, if you guys go back to NPS, I'm trying to remember the Marine's name. There's a brilliant paper recently. I think it's "This is my robot. There are many like it. This is mine." It was a great product out there at NPS where some of the Marines went through again, what does an operator need to learn enough to be able to operate one of these? And I think it actually matches a lot to what you guys are doing, or at least the early stages of that, if you guys have a chance to go back and look at it. But again, I appreciate the idea. I understand, I can see the forward momentum or the scalability of this. I think it's a really valuable idea. And I also would see this as something that we could potentially do as a partners and allies event of trying to be able to get to that kind of understanding.
I also want to echo that I think that's one thing that gets people don't think too hard about, that is the people in that equation. When we talk about making these things simpler and so forth, but doing that something that's actually very scalable. This is one thing that kind of came to my head right when I was looking at this, is this can evolve over time, and that can change as the systems change. So I really appreciate the contribution.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up, Mr. Joe Crusoe. He is from the Dahlgren Center, Surface Warfare Center.
My name is Joe Crusoe, and I'm here to talk about data standards with my challenge problem. And this would be crucial in instances, well, for internal analysis and verification, but also when you're trying to add features to a system. You want to know what the data, what I call the data in motion. Data in motion means like messages, something that's moving, something that would move to another system. Our current system is kind of a patchwork of documents that document the data, and they're often incomplete and confusing. What we actually need is a digital data model, which which allows us to take messages off a switch and validate them. It would give you almost complete knowledge about from to where it came from, where it went to, what its frequency is, what its range is, much more information than we get in a normal document. The digital document would obviously eliminate confusion and automate search and validation. But the thing is, creating the model isn't a problem. Getting it into a digital form from our current system, that's the actual problem. So let's say our goal was to take every piece, every data in motion, message, whatever, and document it on a ship. This isn't something we would do by hand. It's something that would need a lot of different tools to do because there are different formats, many different formats. So the following slide is an example, just an example of what we would do. You see test points at the top, data going through a switch, which is basically messages flowing through the system, learning the structure of that data, and then taking the documentation and matching it with the information that we get out of studying the information going through the switch and building a model. The interesting thing about this is we take the interface documents and throw them away, and that becomes our document. And subsequent changes, we can revalidate the document against the real system. So this is an example of comparing a new baseline against an existing data model, getting the discrepancies and updating the model. We also get like a change report. A lot of systems get built and changes get made and they're not documented. There's no way in this system to get undocumented changes through. I'll probably regret this, but I'm trying to give an idea for what types of things you would do in order to get data off the, some types of data would only be available in digital form and bits. So at the right, you see a message. It's got names, it's got types. Types give you the format of the binary. So by studying that, we can look at those particular binary codes and figure out, well, this is a floating point. So therefore, that's part of a message. We know what that is. And this is the other way to look. The other way to look at it is in successive messages. If we look down the message stream, we can see patterns in the messages and pull out information and build the final model. So, so what I want to be able to do is take a package off the switch and identify it and validate it. I can put those in a database so that if you're making changes to the system, you can go in there and say, where is this particular piece of data, and you can find it. In our current system, it's mainly paper documents. I can validate the data in motions in a test event. I can validate all the data and say, hey, all this data is valid against the model. And I can know the sources and destinations of any of the.
We'll help you, Joe. Next slide.
What's that? Okay. So I believe this, I'm not quite sure of the source of the challenge question, but I think I have addressed that. The solution potentially can be have positive impacts on analysis, validation, maintenance, and certification, and for putting new features in the system. However, the goals I have framed are very complex, and I'm really only offering a proof of concept for my output. I thank you very much.
Okay, with no questions from the panel, we will move to, oh, sorry.
If you were to target this on, again, an initial concept, a proof of concept, would you focus this more on the type of information for maintenance, for a warfighting aspect? Where would you see a first target area, I guess, for this?
Well, I would produce a data model. I'll produce a data model that I could compare against what's coming off a switch or to validate it. That's kind of one of the main advantages of this, that it's a validatable document, so to speak.
All right, thank you, Joe. Next up, Lieutenant Britt and Lieutenant Leon from MPS.
Okay. Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Okay. So, good morning, ladies, gentlemen. I am Lieutenant Andrew Leon. This is my project partner, Lieutenant Chris Britt. We want to thank our advisor, Dr. Britta Hale, for her guidance, and thank you for this opportunity. In 2013, I became a cryptologic warfare officer because it was my firm belief that the next war was going to be in information. Whoever has the most accurate, fastest, trustworthy information will win the war. And I know that my partner believes the same.
So as the communications officer on the Mighty Ike, I had the unique opportunity to experience the infrastructure build out for the future fielding of the MQ-25 Stingray. So at this particular time, it became paramount that the fielding of naval capabilities with the use of unmanned systems is becoming critical. So to our problems, our adversaries have vastly increased their cyber capabilities, yet we're still using costly proprietary security protocols that produce insecure stovepipe UXS solutions and as well as inhibit the ATO process. These proprietary security protocols are antiquated and provide weak security that is bandwidth intensive. To these problems, Andre's and I's solution offers a protected future for our unmanned fleets by the use of modern standardized security protocols, a future that provides integrated command and control and resilient data environments, one that will enable robust and secure data transmissions backed by emerging industry techniques, further allowing the DoD's unmanned campaign plan and the JADC2 vision to become a reality.
As our use of unmanned systems grow, their integration and data sharing capability must be seamless, more secure, with established interoperability and standardization across the proposed joint force architecture. So our solution is adapted message layer security, MLS. Adapted MLS offers authentication and is designed for group communication, which means this is highly scalable with low overhead, reaching up to 50,000 devices per group at the same time, unlike prior protocols that assume only two-party communications. In the case of a cyber attack, adapted MLS provides forward secrecy, which is the protection of data before the compromise. It has active adversary detection, which it protects against man-in-the-middle attacks and impersonation attacks. And it has post-compromise security, which conducts automatic self-healing of security and protection of data sent after the attack event. In addition to the security guarantees, MLS is asynchronous, which is made to withstand in denied environments, unlike what we use today. As a standardized group protocol, it can accommodate joint, coalition, and multi-party stakeholders to seamlessly extend capabilities and protect information. Your support will allow us to implement this project into a viable use case within the year that will produce the next generation security protocol standards to protect data for our unmanned fleets and sensors. Funding will provide the needed hardware for simulation, professional support, and travel. Although we open dialogue with many SIPSCONs such as NavAir, we need for you to provide us a champion for this cause.
So why MLS? This protocol is standardized by the Internet Engineering Task Force, the same standards body that put into place current security protocols that are used in our weapon systems. It is industry's cutting edge standardized secure comms technology. MLS is being used today for secure group video calls and file sharing, meaning that after initial adaptation for military use, the overall cost of implementation and sustainment is low, and that both military and industry partners will benefit from a mutual standardized interoperable protocol. Our fellow presenters have excellent ideas. However, all of these ideas require data that must be protected to ensure that we remain atop the great power competition. Thank you for your time, and we're happy to take any questions.
Just a quick, wait, maybe it's just because I'm challenged in this space, by the way. Just say that's one of my. So could you get a little bit more exactly what I'm trying to quite when I read this morning and kind of looked at the presentation, I'm trying to understand how the same type of package can be really crosses all domains ultimately, and it's scalable across all domains and platforms that will be coming out.
Yes, this protocol is very small, it's very lightweight, so it's mostly software, but it can be used at the layer 2, so it could be used with HIPAA devices. But it can be, once it's tested into one UAV, once we make it a standard to the ATO process, you can say, whoever, Raytheon, Boeing, when you build this UAV, the way you're going to connect is using this protocol. And we will know that if they implement this protocol, it will be protected and used in everything.
So real fast, as you guys had mentioned, this is what current cutting edge industry is going to right now. Who, I guess right now, is there a center of this knowledge base? Is this a US based technology? Is this a something China, Japan, or somebody else is actually leading the charge in right now?
The companies utilizing this type of technology are Wicker, Signal. This is standardized by the IETF. So they are the ones that had opened it to the entire industry. So it's consistently being addressed by the American industry and the world. It's just open, just like TLS.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, MS4 team. So we have Mr. Asher Shirkow and his NavAir team. All good? Let's do it.
All right. Okay. Good morning. So this is my team over here. It's been a great experience. So we are here to present the modular, scalable, standardized storage system. Our team is extremely excited to be here, and we're grateful for the invitation. So what is the problem? The problem is that we're not great at deployment preparation. We have to pack, unpack, repeat. We have pack-up kits. It's slow and onerous, and it's impacting our tooth-to-tail ratio. You can see how different it is from operation to operation. We need standardization. We're using thousands of ruggedized cases, bubble wrap parts, loose gear, etc. Does this remind you of something? So did you guys happen to see Waldo? There's Waldo, right? So don't feel bad if you didn't see Waldo. We couldn't find $2.9 billion in material. The Navy Material Accountability Campaign cleanup efforts identified $2.9 billion in material that had not been visible across the Navy enterprise. Instant verification will save tens of thousands of hours doing inspections and manual stock checks. In addition, how would you know if hazmat was accidentally stored in an unsafe space on a ship until it's potentially too late? Comparing ourselves to industry. So we need to be doing a little more like what industry is doing. Us and them. Us, them. Us, them. So we need to prepare for future autonomous systems. So if you wanted a standardized payload, how would any of these know what's on board? If you went to deploy a system, you'd be then configuring that system and its logistics tail and all the operation stuff for that one system when you went to go fund it. If we already had this capability, the standardized capability in the fleet, we'd be able to support these with standardized boxes. And here we go to the solution. So, what do we need? We need to utilize existing Gaia 0007 standards and other standardized data that we already collect on systems. We need to build modular containers that have an attached computer. So then you get visible assets. You'll be able to deploy faster. You'll be able to have instant visibility. It'll eliminate manual inventories. Everyone loves manual inventories. So, and we'd have a smart PHS&T infrastructure table on autonomous supply support systems. Simple, it's a modular boxes. They attach to another box with a computer in it, and your part gets read. And that database in the computer will tell you simply that you have the right part in there. What's in it? Is it being stored okay? What's the weight? What's the humidity conditions? Will that part being expired? Should you go check it? Did you put hazmat in there? So this is our network. This is our system drawing. So autonomous systems. So autonomous systems, like robots, are more easily employed for tasks when there is a high degree of standardization. The ability to take advantage of algorithmic processing solutions to model for efficiency is limited by our inability to reconfigure below a single pallet as a unit. Autonomous flight deck operations will need standardization. We need to have supply systems that support unmanned resupply drones. So what is our ask? So we would like support for a pilot program to prove out the concept. We would like to go out to a pilot customer, like say VAW 117 on the West Coast. We'd like to take a modular scalable storage system out there and see if we can increase efficiency with, say, their backup kit or something like that. And this is transferable as a capability to Marines, to Marine MALs, to aviation squadrons, and even further beyond that. So it's really, the idea is start with the tooth side instead of the tail, putting RFIDs on all of the on all of the tri walls and things like that. Is start with the front end instead of going to the warehouses, but keeping the warehouses in mind as is that will then feed the front. Any questions?
So real fast for you is I'm in a complete agreement. This is kind of things that every industry that wants to move fast has either tried to figure out. I can either provide more thrust or I can find ways to have less drag. So finding things that'll actually in aggregate have less drag can make us move faster. So I appreciate this. One thing that I know consistently, this is something common sense after a while keeps making its way into the Pentagon every so often. So we get to this point, but when we're comparing things like this to warfighting effects, it traditionally does not do well. I think one of the things that this will be challenged with in general, and it'd be interesting to hear your feedback, is how might we understand how much type of savings that we might be able to get from something? How can we right size the amount of automation in our logistics? Because I can see the argument in the end is that doesn't put more weapon systems necessarily downrange, but if it frees up our resources to do more things and provide more warfighting effect in the long term, that's how do we get to that case and that argument? Do you have an idea of how that might be done with this pilot?
Absolutely. The magnitude, looking at it from small scale, a little bit of help to outfitting the entire supply system for the enterprise. So what are those total cost savings to measure it? Not so easy, obviously, to measure it from beginning to end. But what you will try to look at, the objective here is start small, right? Start small with small investment, a small pilot program, and then we're going to learn, right? So we're going to collect data, we're going to learn. We're going to have something that's going to be useful. So the whole process, we're going to create something for useful. We may make that pack up and that deployment for that squadron or that mouse faster, right? So they have their stuff. They don't have to go and inspect that puck. They know everything that they have ready to go, right? And so when they go on, they're not throwing these things around. Well, they can take that same storage unit and they can put it in their hangar. They can use the equipment, and when they're getting ready to go on deployment, they don't have to go to keep this safe set of gear, this safe set of Admiral, the safe set of stuff separate for a deployment. They can have it, use it. They'll know they're ready to go at any moment. Just, same thing as like a smart toolbox. So the idea is so to answer your question in terms of what that cost savings is that we'll eventually know in time exactly what the overall thing is. Could it be measured? For sure. You would do a survey or data collection to get you that end result, and we could do, you could do a ROM to figure out exactly what the overall cost savings are. But we know the problem now, and what we're trying to achieve is the long term, it's the long term savings, the long term preparedness for autonomous systems for resupply. So standardize now, help our fleet now, and then without having to change anything practically at all, you'll be prepared for autonomous resupply.
If I could remind the panel a little closer to the mic and a little louder for the pack. Thank you.
Okay. Enjoyed the presentation. Again, it goes to Craig's question as well, too, is when I kind of look at these areas and tapping into the commercial sector, or at least trying to emulate what they're doing there, have you got in mind the particular software or tools that you're going to tap into? This comes down to the cost, the ability to extrapolate and scale. And the other question I had was, I like the fact you're starting off small. I did Sea-Base 20 years ago, so I'm very familiar with this challenge. And so you kind of start there, but then also, how would you think about integrating more of the physical robotics into this system?
Okay, it's a lot. So the first one. So we'll go with so we'll start with the last one. So as I figured out, so starting with the robotics. So basically, it's having the standardization. So robots interact with things based on a certain standard system. So it could be a sensor, it could be a path on the ground. So it's these particular types of standards that would be tried in this prototype, right? So the idea is we'll look to the commercial world. This will allow us to prepare to start taking advantage of those things. So what is Amazon doing, right? So they're investing billions in warehouses and things like that. We don't need to invest the $1 billion up front. What we need to do is just take advantage of what it is that they're putting out there, and then utilize existing databases. So when you talk about software and databases of what it is we're going to do, we have FLIS data, we have all this other data that's already out there on the parts that we're buying. We have those requirements already set. So when that data comes down to the databases and we have that, we just need to be able to put that onto an RFID chip and just read it back. So there are other technologies that are out there. There are a lot of other software databases. Try to stay standard, try to make it compatible with anyone to be able to interact with it. But yeah, just feed that data on there, you read it back, and it can tell you the information from the part. And that's sort of the jump off point, right? Is that we integrate the basically the non-TRL 9 kind of situation where you're in with the box is that integration of the software, right? So but it's just databases. So we've done pulling from databases. We've created vector, right, where we pull from other sources and we put that in front of in front of those who need it to be able to understand our readiness. So we can do that now, and then the leap is not very far. So it's just the long-term system of system things when you're connecting one storage unit to the next storage unit to the next storage unit, and then you want that on a database and you want to figure out across the nation. Sure, I mean, it's scalable, right? So that's standard technology, standard bus structure for it. You just plug and play. You take a box and you plug it into it, and the system knows, hey, I now have a 30 dB attenuator in a box, right? So you get this immediately because the technology's there. So the integration, the capability of the systems beyond that, putting in other sensors adds complexity, but not a difficult research barrier in terms of it at the plug-in.
All right, thank you, Asher. Okay, Lieutenant Sam Royster. This will be our final solution. Stole it.
So one of my favorite things about being stationed in Monterey is getting to enjoy some of the world's finest golf courses. When I'm out there playing, it's increasingly common to see what used to be tasks that required an army of greenskeepers now being accomplished by just a few unmanned systems. Engineers have taken inspiration from Roomba and created autonomous lawnmowers that accomplish the dull part of a greenskeeper's work, driving back and forth, mowing the grass. These systems are convenient not only because they have 24/7 availability, but they save time and money. Now, instead of playing on a well-manicured course like Pebble Beach, instead imagine trying to play on a course that was mowed only once a year. It's pretty obvious that the amount of effort required to get the ball in the hole would make the game a lot less fun, and that any cost savings the course would realize would not be worth the side effects. Unfortunately, letting the grass grow for a year before mowing it is the approach the Navy takes to combating marine biofouling. My name is Lieutenant Sam Royster. I'm a recent addition to the Navy's Engineering Duty Officer community and a Master's of Mechanical Engineering student at Naval Postgraduate School. I previously served aboard the Pearl Harbor-based Los Angeles-class fast-attack submarine, the USS Charlotte. And the performance decrements we saw when underway without a clean hull were immediately noticeable, despite having a nuclear reactor to push us through the water. And having to operate without a clean hull was frustrating from a readiness and sustainment perspective. This hull fouling limited how quickly we could get from A to B, the amount of fuel we burnt during each underway, and as well as the maintenance that could be conducted when we were in port. This is because the existing process for hull cleaning is reactive. Contract divers come once or twice a year and mechanically remove the buildup using high-speed rotating brushes, water jets, and other scraping tools over a period of 4 to 5 days. This process has remained the Navy's preferred biofouling mitigation tool in addition to anti-fouling paint due to its seemingly low cost of about $75,000 per ship per year. The unseen costs of this approach, however, are numerous. Biofouling induces drag, which can lead to a 10 to 20% increase in our fuel consumption rate. Conservatively, for a single destroyer, this means that annual fuel costs are $3 million higher and an additional 20 million pounds of CO2 is emitted. And these numbers don't even account for the extra underway replenishment and sustainment costs that are harder to quantify. Reactive cleaning has created immediately visible fiscal and operational impacts as well. Just this spring, environmental regulations forced the Navy to forego waterborne cleaning and instead dry dock and dry scrape the former USS Kitty Hawk, a ship that was decommissioned 12 years ago and is scheduled to be broken up for scrap. This is one of only 2 dry docks capable of accommodating our fleet of nuclear aircraft carriers and on the only West Coast dry dock. If this practice becomes the forced norm for inactive ship moves, our already constrained dry dock capacity could be pushed to a breaking point. The good news is there's an alternative, proactive cleaning, which is commonly referred to as grooming. It's essentially taking a greenskeeper's approach to marine biofouling management, and instead of reactively moving it, we routinely remove it from ship hulls when it's just a soft slime layer that can easily be scrubbed away. And instead of doing this with an army of divers, we can enable it with Roomba-like autonomous hull cleaning vehicles. Proactive grooming could allow the Navy to annually save up to $300 million on fuel costs, drastically reduce our CO2 emissions, and could even help lengthen the amount of time between dry dockings. The hull plates shown on the screen illustrate the paint preservation benefits grooming has over reactive cleaning. Reducing the amount of paint removed during each cleaning is not only beneficial for our harbors, but could provide an additional 2 years of useful paint life, which is notable because repainting the hull is the primary driver for a ship's dry dock cycle. Development of unmanned maintenance systems like the ones needed for proactive hull grooming is in line with the National Defense Strategy, the Unmanned Systems Roadmap, because it provides a relatively low-risk environment to refine and build trust in these unmanned systems while simultaneously improving readiness. Simply put, proactive grooming has potential to not only save the Navy hundreds of millions of dollars in fuel costs and drastically reduce environmental impact, but it could also be a key factor in helping reduce the Navy's maintenance burden and the number of dry docks needed to support our fleet. Moreover, all those benefits could apply to the Coast Guard and Military SEAL Command fleets as well. The field of robotic-assisted hull husbandry and inspection is on the cusp of adoption. Targeted investments and sponsorship of this big idea will maintain the Navy at the leading edge of maritime maintenance sustainment. So I invite all of you to join me in our always clean hull future. $100,000 investment today could enable the expansion of the development and testing program that ONR, Florida Institute of Technology, and Naval Postgraduate School are currently partnered on to include submarine coatings. Alternatively, $100,000 would go a long way to helping fund a long-term proof of concept test for the active ONR SCTR-funded Green Sea Hull Grooming Vehicle shown on the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time and attention and for allowing me the opportunity to present today. Standing by for any questions.
Sam, nice job. Does anybody in the maritime industry, in the commercial maritime industry, use Roomba?
So the Navy is somewhat unique in that our ships spend about 70% of their time pierside, and the commercial shipping fleet spends about 70% of their time underway. So we accumulate biofouling at a much faster rate than they do, so we need a different solution than what the commercial sector is offering. Right now, Kongsberg Maritime, which is a Norwegian company, has a hull grooming vehicle, but it's attached to the ships magnetically, and you have to buy their proprietary paint in order to be able to use it. So they're designing systems that are supposed to deploy with the ship, just basically be attached to it because they're going to be underway all the time. Versus for the Navy, we wouldn't need to buy one for every ship. We'd need to buy one or two for every harbor that ships operate in because we spend so much time in port.
Real fast, I'm going through my head from probably about a decade of shipyard experience and trying to go through these things. Not only do you the amount of savings that you have from doing the actual maintenance, the import time, the scheduling of crews for nuclear submarines, you know, hanging the tags out, reactor shutdown, divers tags, radcon safety, to even put somebody in the water around that can actually do a small inspection, can last a week or more. So fundamentally really interested in some of those savings, and I appreciate what the Admiral just brought up. As my first thought would be, why isn't this, you know, comparable technology or something we're partnering with a commercial sector with? So I guess the only other part is you had already mentioned Sea Lift, Coast Guard, Marine Corps. Again, do you know anything of any international partners or allies that are also doing any sort of investments or done any sort of research in this?
Not that I'm aware of. Again, Kongsberg is a Norwegian company, and they work pretty well with the Norwegian Navy. I know that in general, the European Navy has more strict paint standards than the U.S. Navy does. We kind of rely on the copper paint, which is a biocide, that is our main anti-fouling tool, and then we just reactively clean to manage that until we can repaint the ship and dry dock every 5 years. So I'm not aware of any international companies other than Kongsberg via Jotun. That's the whole Jotun Hull Skater is the only commercially available solution that I'm aware of right now.
And again, not just international commercial, but any of our international partners from other navies.
It's just not something that I've been exposed to. I've talked to a lot of U.S. Navy partners. So, I mean, NAVSEA, OOC, the supervisor of ship salvage and diving, and Naval Surface Warfare Center Carter Rock is engaged in the problem, but they're kind of more in the day-to-day operational fight of just getting the ships cleaned with what we have and fighting the regulations of moving towards from that diver-based cleaning system into a clean capture system. So basically, we're putting too much paint particulates into the water for the environmental regulators. So we're already going to have to shift from the existing standard into a clean capture one. And we could, instead of investing money in those systems, be investing in these proactive grooming vehicles, which are going to remove less paint. And then you're removing such a small amount of biomaterial from the hull on a weekly basis that you wouldn't need that clean capture technology. You'd just be applying the grooming technology instead.
So I think you kind of answered my next question, which was how much surveying you've done that's out there, because this is not brand new. It's been around for quite a while. But I think you pointed out at least one of the companies I was aware of, which is good. So have you thought about like foreign comparative technology approaches to this? Like a project working in that regard for an international side of this? And it sounds to me like the real key to this is what you're pointing out is that our coatings are different than the commercial sector, and that's what you really need to identify what might be that viable solutions for the Navy itself.
I guess the U.S. Navy is unique in our requirement that you not attach to the hull magnetically. So that is generally how the commercial sector has attacked the problem. So by the fact that we want it to be a negative pressure system, that makes it somewhat unique and more complex. The ONR has had funded projects on this since about 2010. They previously developed a system that was unmanned but not autonomous, so it had no navigation capability, and that kind of was a non-starter because you'd still need divers to supervise it. So, and then this is the next iteration with Green Sea. They took the Video Array Defender, which is a pretty capable underwater robotic system that the EOD community uses a lot, and they Green Sea is a basically API company, and they have figured out how to install this grooming sensor on it, and they have their proprietary navigation software that allows it to be autonomous, and that can clean 80% of the surface area of a DDG, and it's just that remaining 20% that would need to either be cleaned by divers or a separate unmanned system basically be deployed so that you could then clean the rudder, the propeller, those high impact areas that are hard to clean autonomously.
Thank you. That's my putter, and I don't golf enough, so that's why it went everywhere. It wasn't his fault. So we are going to open up to closing remarks from the panelists. If you have anything else to say to the whole, now is your chance. Okay, for my thank yous. Sorry, were you going?
I was just going to say, obviously, thank you guys. This has been a great week. One of the fun things that just watching through all those presentations right there, there wasn't anybody that actually drove down to, I have a single point solution, and it's not this exquisite solution that it is beyond our reach or beyond technically feasible today. So I think where your headspace is in, again, is the demands are closer than most of us would like to admit. The solutions that we need to be looking at and moving fast right now have to be something that's probably within the 5-year plan. So trying to see those types of evaluations or those types of values that we're looking at, I think is fundamentally your headspace is in the same place where I keep going or where I keep seeing all the rooms that I see keep cycling back to. So I think continuing to keep in that idea, what can you move, what can you pivot, and what can we do probably within that 5-year time frame. The other part about what this did is again, you guys showed that you didn't try to solve the most complex and the most challenging problem with autonomy just for the sake of it. So again, finding things, what are the safety steps? What are the baby steps that we can do today, gain some confidence in these systems and in the technology, I think is another thing that we're looking forward to be able to move this stuff long range down to where we actually need to get to. It's not, again, about one giant leap. It's all these little base hits to try and get there. So.
I'll just add very briefly, Admiral Byrne and I were kind of sidebarring and just continually amazed with where we get such thoughtful and intelligent folks, and not just amongst our uniform U.S. personnel and government civilians, but it's really great to see our allies here represented as well and working on common challenges and problems. And, as a history major, some of this will take a little bit of processing and probably a couple of follow-up questions offline, but really just to appreciate the thoughtful and critical thinking that's gone into this.
And I'm a political science major, so I'll educate him as needed. Hey, look, there's a human element here too, in that it takes courage to have this idea. Well, it takes brains to have the idea, but it takes courage to articulate the idea and to get up in front of a crowd, to get up in front of a academic advisor to float this idea, and then a group of flag officers, general officers, and SESs to share this idea too. So I applaud you for that, and I thank you for that. And whether you're the one who walks away with the trophy or not, you need to keep doing that, and you need to keep encouraging others to do that too. You're most certainly leading by example. So thank you to all of you.
I've just got to reinforce what everybody just said here in terms of the compliments to everybody that put the time in. They were all great presentations, by the way. And so I'm going through my calculations. I wonder if I got more money. Anyway, all right, I'm not going to say that yet. We'll see about that. So, but I really appreciate, and we all looked at these problems and potentially come up with some really interesting ideas that make a difference in these systems that are such a challenging areas for the Department of Navy to work on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, panel, for your time and also your comments. I know it's a great experience, something that not everyone gets the chance to do with the brass and then important people on a topic that we have some solutions to and just some ideas, letting us be a part of the solution and part of the problem and helping the problem. And so I thank you. I also want to say thank you to the challengers. You made my week so easy. I've had a great time getting to know all of you. I have a great team with the Naval Junior Officer Council that did help me on this, but I didn't need their help because you all were here ready to go. You had your presentations probably 95% complete going into the practice yesterday. You also are professional. You've done this before. And that's because what General was talking to, you pushed out there and you've spoken your mind with professionalism, but also in order to get ideas from every level of our Navy and our friends as well across the water. So I thank you, and another applause for the challengers, please. This about 3-month-long sprint that we ended up doing couldn't have happened without the idea and creation from Whitney. So I want to say thank you, Whitney. Giving me the space from Captain Van Buskirk, so thank you, Nut. And then also making sure that all this tech and all this branding and how beautiful it looks. So thank you, Ling and Jen and the team there at Naval X. So I want to last applause for them. So finally, there was a great brief given at 15:30 yesterday from Naval Junior Officer Council. Our future president, Lieutenant John Rex Spivey, is in the khakis right there in the center. I'm going to point to him. He's our director at Naval Junior Officer Council. Our main mission is doing exactly what happened here today. It is this right here, bridging this gap between our senior leaders, our decision makers, our tip of the spear individuals with my peers in our level, and having this dialogue and having a chance to promote and give a feedback and a feedback loop within our Navy and Marine Corps is our strongest defense. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate Injock and John Rex for leading us. So thank you. So we are gonna. We're not going to break quite yet. I think Fab Lab, Frail is going to come up and introduce Fab Lab just after our Injock trailer. We put this trailer out this year. Chief of Naval Personnel and Chief of Naval Research has given us this endorsement. We'll officially be the first management advisory group formally in the United States Navy. This is our trailer to complement that and kind of our message and mission. After that, we'll do the Fab Lab. Then we'll go into our lunch, and then the further comments after that. So I appreciate you. That's the end of the challenge. We'll finish with this trailer and then off to Frail. Thank you.
Challenging times are upon us, and a Navy-wide revival is in full swing. And where there's challenge, there's also opportunity. We've all been called upon to do what it takes to maintain the greatest naval power in human history. Change won't come easy. The pressure's on to make our rudder checks and truly embody a culture of excellence. Each of us has something to contribute, whether it be within or beyond the scope of our daily duties. In other words, we all have counsel to give and the capacity to receive it from others. The tricky part is figuring out how and when to give it. The Navy's a big place, And our leaders are under a tremendous amount of stress across every designator and rating, in every area of operation, at home and around the world. Good news is, where there are just a few of them, there's a whole lot of us. And by us, I mean junior officers. Out of the 44,000 officers in the United States Navy, roughly 75% of them are lieutenant commander and below. That's nearly 35,000 individuals to lend a helping hand as our senior leaders make critical decisions to guide our Navy into the future. Now, to gather all of those inputs and deliver them safely to leadership, we're going to need a system. Here at Naval Junior Officer Council, we're working directly with the Office of the Chief of Naval Personnel and the Office of Naval Research to find a way to leverage the JO network and make positive contributions to the Department of the Navy. Now is our chance to step up. Not tomorrow, and not when it's convenient. We are Naval Junior Officer Council, and we are here to bridge the gap.
Roast, I didn't know Spivey was in charge. I thought it was you. The way you picked me up by my neck, and then I just thought it was you. You're the bouncer? Okay, great. Well, thank you. So we're gonna, so judges, I know some of you have seen the Fab Lab and also the Marines over here working, but I especially want to get the Admiral and the General out to the NOC AD Fab Lab, have you walk through it. General, I think you'll be especially interested because I think there's an empty trailer that looks just as long as that, but it's empty, sitting down at 2MEF at the 2nd MLG's makerspace with Lieutenant Colonel Henry. I think she's ready to put some gear in there, but I don't know if you can influence that, and this is my podium to do that for my Marines. I love doing it and putting people on the spot and being disruptive like that. But anyway, sir, no obligation at all. But take a look at that, and especially you're going to get a treat today, gentlemen. You're going to be able to walk next door and see Marines from 1st MLG, 2nd MLG, the makerspace, and then other Marines from the MLG, and they're doing a few projects because they're going to also having a competition as well in coordination with this on robotics or something. So the history, I don't know, sir, if you may need the Admiral to explain stuff. I don't know, political science major. But you're going to enjoy that tour. And Staff Sergeant Harmon is there from the 2nd MLG, and I'm not sure who the main POC is for the 1st MLG. But I want to turn you over to Ashley. I don't know where Ashley is, but I'll turn the judges over to Ashley to walk outside, see the Fab Lab. Terry from NOC AD is out there. It's an impressive unit. I'm sure you've seen it before. We tried to go down to Cherry Point. There she is. She's on camera.
Hey, come on, judges, come outside. The weather's beautiful out.
That's why you can't miss Ashley. But for everyone else, we're going to be setting up chow at the bar if you've been here all week. So the bar area there. So we're going to ask that you sort of get out of the way and let the Marines do their job, eat their chow first, and then they'll have chow ready for you. So I appreciate your time. And please, Ashley, where are you at outside? Just in the front of the building, it looks like. Don't yell at us. We'll be out there.
Walk right outside the garage door.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much.
You can't miss me. Got lots of bright colors on today. Check me out. Lots of bright colors. So, okay, for those that missed it, we're going to get the leadership team, the judges and stuff outside. It's a little drizzle. It's a little drizzle out here. But I learned from Matt, like people in California all the time don't get to see this. So, taking things for granted is usually what we do. It's like, rain, man, why it's got to rain again? But like the rain is beautiful. Okay, not too much, but just this amount is nice. But when the judges come out here, we're going to go back in the Fab Lab from NOC AD. You know what? I never knew what the A and the E is. So I was looking, I said, I know NOC AD, but what's MEAD? What's it?
So it's NOC made.
NOC made. Oh, like you made this.
like we make
Like
stuff
we make things.
at Knock AD.
Oh, see, I like that. I like that. I really like that. That was a good one. I had no idea. So yeah, if the judges, if they're gonna come out, I don't know, but we're gonna go into the Fab Lab. We're gonna give you guys a tour again because, like, you know, for those that may have missed it, like this was pretty fantastic, and we had a lot of people. So we're gonna get the underground tour again in the Fab Lab. I'm gonna turn my all the things are put away, but as long as look, I got my cat card holder that they made, and I got a nice 3D print, a 3D cut, laser cut, agility summit thing, so people know that I was there, right? So, all right, I'm gonna turn my camera around, and then, all right. So tell me about this. It looks like it's like the back of a tractor trailer. Like, what did you do? How did you make this?
So this was purchased.
Well, what's your name? The people don't know you.
My name is Kyle Robertson. I work for Knock AD at Patuxent River Naval Air Station. And this is Terry Topolsky. She's
Hey, Terry.
station lead. So this is the complete
Woo!
Knock AD Fab Lab. This was a triple axle enclosed trailer that was outfitted with a bunch of equipment. We've got a CNC laser, a CNC milling machine, 2 3D printers, and then other hardware and software related to running that equipment. We did we got this wrapped by reaching out to the workforce and having them submit designs. And we picked the best design, worked with a local company to wrap the entire thing. So we can go ahead and step inside.
All right.
So we're under battery power now, so it's going to be a little dimly lit. So up front here, we've got the CNC laser. It's taped down, ready for travel, but we can cut soft materials such as woods, waxes, plastics, rubbers, that kind of thing with this CNC laser.
How thick?
We can cut up to 3/8 inch thick wood, and that's the only thing I know off the top of my head as far as the thickness of materials we can cut. But if you can't get through in the first pass, you can do it.
Oh, fancy. Okay.
This is a CNC milling machine. It's really educational based. It can also do the soft materials such as woods, waxes, plastics. It doesn't have an automatic tool changer. You do that yourself. But it's a good instrument that we can use to teach the fundamentals of manufacturing with a 3D milling machine.
All right. All right.
These are 2 3D printers here. This one was the one we were running earlier. It's got a part that we stopped right prior to being packed up. But this is a majority of the type of 3D printer that you'll see out in different squadrons. The Marine Maker Fab Lab over here, and we printed a variety of things supporting the fleet, but also really cool cat card holders.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So how can someone get one of those fancy cat card holders? They got to come visit you guys, huh?
Come visit us, and we'll give them out. Yes, you got to make a trip to Patuxent River Naval Air Station, to the iHub, the Innovation Hub. This is parked outside of that. And that encompasses a wider array of things that we offer as far as more 3D printers, software sandbox, virtual reality and augmented reality sandbox. We've got collaboration spaces, a maker space, and we do training in that facility as well on how to use all the equipment that we have, and then we work with people to do work-related projects.
How big of a print can this one print versus this one?
So this one can do approximately 13 inches by 9.5 inches, and then about 13 inches tall. Where this one is 12 inches by 12 inches by 24 inches tall. So that's 1 foot by 1 foot by 2 feet tall. So this one has a bigger build envelope, but it's not quite as nice and consistent as this one.
Why is that?
It's a cheaper price point. So you kind of pay for the quality and the reliability. It's actually a little cheaper than this one, even though it's bigger. So that's where you get less quality in the things that it can do.
What are some of the things that you've printed in this one? Like, even though it's lower quality, some of the things you've done.
I believe the biggest thing that we printed in there is a replica of a wing spar. So a piece of like an internal structure of a wing.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. How many people can you train back here?
We typically do our training in our facility now that we have that, but approximately 4, maybe 5 we can get back in here. We've got 4 workstations currently set up. And we also partner with our education outreach office to take this to local schools and STEM festivals and events to get the next generation interested in a technical career working for the Navy.
Do you ever drive while people are actually working in here?
No, but it could be fun.
It could be fun, and
For
then
me.
messed up 3D prints and stuff. 'Cause I don't think they have the chamber that like balances it here, huh?
No, plus we don't have power in here when it's not connected to the generator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is what are some of the other things you've trained and done? I think the other day there was a 360 camera, and I saw some other little trinkets that were on this table.
I'll let Andrew Koch speak to that.
Yeah, so one of our big initiatives, like Kyle mentioned, was education outreach. So we had a couple of robotics equipment here that we're using in pursuit of our course development. So one of the big things that we do at the iHub is develop courses to educate the workforce. We have an intro to 3D printing, intermediate 3D printing, Fab Lab operators course, so they learn how to operate all this equipment. They also have intermediate and beginner and intermediate Arduino courses to teach them fundamentals of Arduino, and we have a intro to virtual reality. We're developing an intro to robotics, and the idea behind all these courses is not to make them necessarily masters, but to give them the information and the knowledge necessary to start doing projects on their own and start learning more and finding out how they can use the tools that we have at our facility to solve problems in the workforce, in the fleet, etc. So we have the robotics equipment that we had up earlier was intended to teach them the basics about inverse kinematics, DH conventions, how to change angles on a robotic arm. So that was going to be used for developing the workforce. Hopefully they can use our facilities to figure out how to develop robots and robotic applications to solve problems that they can see. But it was also intended to use for strategic education purposes. So taking it out to middle schools, high schools, STEM festivals, and showing young people, the people who are the future of our workforce, the value of applied engineering, and show them that what they're learning in school can be applied and can be useful, and is in fact necessary to the future of the DoD, the future of our country. So very, very, very cool stuff. And also you mentioned the 360 camera. So that's an initiative. We purchased that and are looking into ways of developing 3D tours, virtual tours. So one of the big, obviously, issues with COVID, with the pandemic, is that we couldn't bring people in and we couldn't go out and show off and do that education outreach. So we did actually develop a video about our robotics and about the iHub, those initiatives. But we want to do more and get the word out more. So the idea is to develop a tour that they can view in their phone. Everyone has a smartphone now. Everyone can see those 360 virtual tours that are on social media. They're on various websites, and they would also be able to watch things on YouTube as well, and get that information and get that knowledge without necessarily having to be here. Of course, being here in person is great, but even when we resume in-person instruction and in-person outreach, we're going to be able to reach a lot more people with those virtual tools.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things I saw when my mom was buying a house, those 360 tours, and they put like that was the coolest because it saved a lot of miles in the car. Yes. So, question: this is like one of the hard questions. Can all the labs have something like this, or all like different syscoms? Like, what does it take? Like, is it easy to do? Was it hard to do?
So Kyle will be able to speak a little bit more to the history of how this was developed and the background behind how this was brought together.
Yeah. So we had a climate command survey for our entire base, the workforce there. And one of the initiatives that they found, one of the issues was that there wasn't enough innovation on that base. A lot of people said they didn't feel they had the tools to be as innovative as they wanted to be. So a team was stood up, and the iHub and this Fab Lab was stood up to solve some of those issues. So there are two aspects of innovation that were looked into. One was collaboration, and the other was prototyping and manufacturing. So in our innovation hub, we have a large collaboration space, 4 different spaces that can be used with different VTC type technologies and other tools that can be used to help with collaboration. And those are only allowed use for problem solving meetings or meetings that require virtual communication. And then secondly, we have this facility that we just showed you, along with the other capabilities that Andrew talked about, that we help with people either on the physical prototyping of parts or the Arduinos and the electronic side of things, virtual reality, that we give people the tools that they don't typically have access to, and then we train them in that knowledge to use those tools, and we have full-time staff there to help them when they come back for work-related projects, to help them be able to expand their ability to be creative and innovative and help solve problems for the Navy.
Awesome. Awesome. Do you guys have any questions too?
No questions, but I'll just make a comment because I could not even think about being a better spokesperson than these two superheroes. But
Nice.
All of that techno stuff that they just talked about, what I would dumb it down to is that what Kyle said was reaching out to the next generation in order to solve hard problems. That's what these guys are doing. So they're recruiting on our behalf. On
Nice.
behalf of the United States Navy and Marine Corps team. So cannot thank you enough.
Yeah.
Our pleasure. Yeah, absolutely.
Something that we're really passionate about. So it's exciting to be out here and spreading the word and spreading all of our lessons learned so you guys can go back and share that knowledge and build something similar or improve what you already have.
Right on.
And thankfully, due to that Climate Command survey and the feedback we got from our workforce, our command got behind this initiative and was able to fund the large majority of it with overhead dollars. So we're lucky, you could say, in that sense, that our leadership heard the call of the workforce and got behind it and stood up this facility.
And in this area, since there's a lot of military, in this area, maybe not quite at Pax River area, but could you take this to other bases, or has there been collaborations between Dahlgren or Indian Head, Carter Ops down the street, all the different you got NRL? Do you do other partnerships with anybody else?
Not specifically with the Fab Lab itself, but what we do is, since we're in charge of innovation and kind of the iHub is many things, one of the things that we did pre-COVID is we would set up trips to other bases, whether it was within NOC AD or outside of NOC AD, and we would take young engineers, what we call ESDPs, those are the engineers in the first 5 years of their career, and we would take roughly 10 or so with us to other bases, and we would set up tours and help with collaborations and get them outside of their little box that they're in to help share in the knowledge that they have, connect them with peers that they have at other bases and in other groups, and help them to understand the organization at large in a better way. So that's more of what we've done in the past, not specifically taking the Fab Lab, but just taking other engineers, young engineers with us to other locations to help them and the locations we go to share that information and knowledge.
And we have people from other bases come and take our courses. I remember we had a huge contingent from the Marines come by, and I think they had 2 courses that they took. We had to have two offerings just to accommodate all of them, which is awesome.
Yeah,
so we've had squadrons from other states come and we've trained them on the equipment, and they've had similar equipment at their base. And so we train them, they come, and we'll even tailor our courses to the amount of time they can be with us to help with their needs.
This is fantastic. So thank you guys so much. You had to go back to the video on Tuesday, right, to see all the gizmos and gadgets working all live. It was good, right? It was good stuff. So let's see, next on the tour. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. All right. Hey, what's going on? So one of my favorite things I've been talking about all week was going to see the Marine makers and what they've been up to. So the 8 Marines, if you missed it, 8 Marines have been in the machine shop here at the Agility Summit working on an autonomous vehicle to carry at least up to 80 pounds. So they're packs. So taking them, because I'm going to lose service in a second, taking them on their journey through the rest of the week. So you can actually see what they did. I want to see about their prototyping. I think they're actually going to race it and build it. So let's see if we can find out. I'm going to go into the lab.
I got you.
This is Philly cheesesteak Mike. Needed my better microphone to go in here. Center for Adaptive Warfighting director, leaving in a couple of weeks. Headed back to NSWC Philadelphia. Going to do some amazing things up there, right?
Yeah, and if you're interested in military scrum, We're doing a forum next Thursday and Friday. I got to get my plug in.
Yes.
It's here at Naval X, but we're also doing it virtually. So go to the website. We just added it to the front page. You can register virtual or in person. Hope to see you there.
So front page at the Naval X website, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, so look, plug. So what? We did all this week, and it's going to be another great week next week. So come by and join virtually.
Awesome.
Thanks, Mike. All right. Here we go. They're getting ready. They're getting ready. Yes, you are. Being live streamed, building momentum employees. They are being live streamed. You want to see? Look at this. Look at this. Last minute builds, last minute putting stuff together. I'm going to kind of stay out of their way. I'm going to be quiet so they can think. Check out the Marines building. They coding. They getting it together. Doing some coding. Doing a lot of coding.
Yeah, these guys, everybody actually, coding-wise, everybody has actually accomplished the task we set out to do, and everybody's working on extra finishing touches, going above and beyond. So it's pretty exciting.
Above and beyond. Look, this is like the crunch time. You see all the hands typing and everything like that. Yes. Last minute solders, last minute tapes. It's like they're trying to get the last things hooked up. Oh no, y'all focus, y'all focus. I know, crunch time, crunch time.
We just gotta find out. Yeah, we'll figure out how to. I know. We just gotta figure out how to back that.
This guy pushed up. Pull back a little bit. Towards you.
Yeah, it's on not the main.
That was it.
Giving you guys the underground tour. The Marines are getting their finishing touches in. Check out what they built. They did this in a couple of days. Oh, it's following me. What's it doing? Whoa. The Marines built this in 3 days. Oh, it's coming to get you. Look at all the electronics. Wow. So let me tell you guys a little bit what they're doing. I forgot to add this. Part of what they're building is for them to use a beacon. Let me see if I can find the beacon. They had to actually use a beacon that, say if they were walking with this beacon, the pack would literally follow them by themselves. I don't see. Oh, here's a beacon. I'm going to show you guys. Okay. So look, This is the little beacon that they're using. There's like got sensors and wires all in here. And what they had to do, they had to like put a sensor and actually like code their robots to follow them around. So the remote control is cool, but think about this. If they didn't even have to, they could just put their stuff on it, you know, put this on their backpack. Look at them. They just put there on their backpack. Look, check my little beacon out, right? If they did that, then it could just follow them around. So that was like a really, really cool thing that they added, that they put on there, so they could do it remote control and they could do it like autonomously. All right, let's go check it out. And this is the sensor. This is the sensor that's going to actually follow the beacon. It looks like they built these out of 3D parts. They look like they got some sensors in here. They put their track on there. But look, they built all of this. So actually, I'm a weld inspector. I know that this probably would have failed. But hey, it doesn't even have to be great, right? You just got to get the job done. This looks like this is where they're going to put their payload or their backpacks, whatever they're putting on there. Look at these sensors. I cannot believe they did this in 3 days. I cannot believe it. Let's look at one. Let's look at the other one again. Look, they got their beacon too. Look at them testing it. Check that out. See, they're testing it. See the beacon? See the sensor? Their sensor's right there. Look at them pushing it. Look, I heard that they're good. Does that mean they're going to compete soon? Look, and got the remote control. I want to ask them so many questions, but I know they're trying to get their final touches in. So I'm going to stay quiet. I'm going to stay out of the way. Is that a sensor? Ooh, I touched it. You break it, you buy it. These are some of the tools they could use. Oh, this is for soldering. Check this out.
Here for the whole week? You guys want out of the week? Did you know what you were getting into when you came up here?
No.
Really not.
I did not think it was going to be this intensive, sir. It's been a very interesting and hard course as well.
Yeah, yesterday was a long day. We had a lot of problems with the road, but we made it. We don't quit.
So what are you going to be able to take back?
We're not able to basically build a rock. But now we got knowledge. Now how the code works.
Stick that in the back of your car when you drop back down.
Follow us back to the
Do you have a technical background?
I have a computer science degree. I mean, it's not from here because I'm from Colombia.
Okay.
But I have my degree in Colombia, so I used to code for a living. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You're a lance corporal.
Right
now we're just going through a double. And I work at the makerspace, which is like a 3D printing lab.
Sure. You've been down this for a couple of years, but so who's your battalion?
Lieutenant Colonel
Henry.
Yes.
He wants back in Intex. Right there.
I was not present.
Where are you from?
Brad, let me get you on a 30-second interview, right?
Sure.
So what has been your favorite part of helping, of having Building Momentum stand up this Marine Maker course?
It's actually the end result of it is the confidence and permission that all these people come away with. It's not really that I give a crap about their coding skills or their welding skills or their piloting skills. I don't care about that. What I care about is to make real change in the armed forces, to make real change in the Navy and the Marines. You need to have people that feel empowered to do that and to have permission to ask the question, well, why did we do this? This seems screwed up. Why did we do this? And this program, this Marine Maker training, is just a vignette of that empowerment.
Can you talk a little bit about the plug that's in the kitchen of building momentum right now in your experience? Because I thought that's phenomenal. I just threw that in there. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, that was back in 2008. We were putting we had culvert denial systems that denied the insurgent use of the culvert, and so I was on the tactical edge of that, throwing these culverts, throwing these plugs in the culverts. It wasn't the greatest solution. It was just this is what we can do right now solution, but. That was a really dicey bunch of missions, and so I have one in there to remind me that life is precious and innovation is cool.
I love it. I just had to do the plug for building momentum. Brad's awesome owner here and amazing team that's doing this stuff.
Thanks, Ashley.
All right, thank you. All right, I think they almost ready, guys. They almost ready. Y'all pretty much done? Okay, all right. We got their beacon here, got their beacon there. Another cool thing, guys, is with being like younger Marines and stuff, sometimes they never get to come across generals and Bergam generals and colonels and all these other like high-ranking Marines and stuff. They got to actually do it right here. Fantastic.
Every Arduino and every board kind of in that 3D junction box. Kind of like our brain box for the robot. There she goes. Can you get her?
Whoa! Look at that.
It wasn't necessarily the CSV aspect, but with like 3D printing and stuff outside of conventional.
It does follow Pixie. 1 second. Did you put it in Pixie? Make sure my batteries are in Pixie right now.
Because after all, they're going to.
Oh, I like how you 3D print your little housing too.
So like when the first came out, had that issue. First thing is develop this thing.
Maybe the impact knocked something loose. Like check the wire or something.
What's this? Is this your water bottle holder? I love it. Keep your Camelback.
Okay. Are we gonna come back for the competition, right? They're supposed to compete.
Yeah. Hey, Brad, when's the competition for all this?
Competition? We are showcasing.
Showcasing? No, yeah, let people like a little good friendly competition.
I think it's ongoing. We have a nice clear area, so we can definitely go and do kind of farther distances. But we were told to be ready whenever anybody wants to come in.
Yeah, you guys have a
Yeah, I got. No, just I didn't know if they were ready. I just want to see the goods. Nice.
Sample pack.
Nice.
Loaded up to the extremes. I think. Well, it broke the luggage scale, so it's over 100 pounds.
Wow, wow.
And both robots can carry it. So.
Oh, good, good.
I actually get to see someone riding one of the robots. They've made these sturdy enough that they can support humans. So.
Yeah, let's see if they can do humans. The troubleshooting. They're trying to troubleshoot and fix it and see what's going on.
To turn off and turn back on.
Nice, nice.
Is it hot? Oh,
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
It's just incredible they did it.
Let's see.
So you hold this in your pocket or something. Go put it on IR mode. Let me see if is it on IR mode? So go ahead and let's see if it's lower. There you go.
There you go.
Starts following you.
Look at that. Look at that. It's following. It's gonna catch up. Look at that. No, come close now. Yes. Now to back up.
So go down to the camera, and then the sensor will tell you, hey, I am going back, and you hear that buzzer. All right, so get out of the way. I'm going backwards. Unfortunately, where the camera mounted, it does have to be lower. It does follow.
Look at that. It's turning because he's moving.
Open the trunk. But so it'll just go straight down. It will. Actually, go manual mode and go over this.
Let's do manual mode. Yes.
Yeah, I'll go. We tested it twice already.
Wow, look at that.
We want to do that.
Just to go. So when you switch it over to that mode,
no, that's carrying.
Your Arduino is just running the whole thing alongside of that.
It wasn't over
If your Arduino is not engaged, you use the controller. Is that right, or is it?
I'm sorry. Yeah. Nice. Congrats, guys. Y'all have a working robot. The Marines built this in 3.5 days.
Great ideas that I've noticed, and luckily I'm glad that mine, because so I'm an automotive technician by trade, and I'm ASC certified mechanic. And then a big thing in stepping technology, it happened around 2010, where oil extraction is a real thing. And then my major currently, before I transfer over to USC, is petroleum engineering. So the biggest thing is that, so with the 1300 community, especially with the heavy doing PMs and stuff, that's like the biggest milestone.
All set?
I'm going to show you and one is very pricey, right? Cleaning up is very pricey, environmental. It takes about 2 or 3. That sticks into the dipstick. It reaches the bottom of the drain pan, and you just turn it on, and it'll suck for you into a container where no spill happens. Meanwhile, that happens between the
What is the sensor for?
So we put the sensor on so it can show when there's weight on the vehicle or on the robot. So when it's just a simple light. When you just take the light, take the pack off or take the weight off, it'll have the sensor will go off and obviously showing if you're in like a nighttime scenario, it'll show that there's nothing on the robot.
Okay, wow. Look at it go.
Oh, there you go.
All right, well, there you have it, guys. The Marine Maker course. 8 Marines did this team, 2 teams of 4 each. They did it in 3.5 days. If you want to check out the Marine Maker course, reach out to Building Momentum, reach out to Naval X. We'll get you guys to the right people. Send the Marines because it's a life-changing experience for sure. Life-changing experience. And I know that in talking with them, some of them offline, literally something that they would not even imagine. They had no idea what they were getting into. He said, yeah, we're going to learn some coding, some cutting, some welding and stuff. But this took it up a level. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys back in the afternoon. Oh, got a special shout out to our captain, Director Nutt, Benjamin Van Buskirk. All right, guys. I'll see you guys later.